Adam Schefter's interview with Greg Hardy airs on NFL Live today. That's at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And Adam, kind enough to join us on short notice. How did the interview come about, Adam?
Well, Dan, I think it was a situation where I saw his agent and we talked about it and brought up the idea to him. And he said, yeah, no, I'll keep it in mind. And he reached out. He said, yeah, we'd be interested in doing it. So I flew into Memphis yesterday, drove over to Oxford, Mississippi, where Greg's 3 credits shy of finishing his degree at Ole Miss. We spent about an hour and a half together. We had spoken over the phone over the weekend a handful of times, he and I. And basically the interview's running this afternoon on NFL Insiders, NFL Live, and they're going to play, and you'll appreciate this, about 15 minutes worth, which in TV and ESPN land is a long time, man.
Yep.
And he was very expansive on a lot of topics and very interesting on a lot of topics, and had never really sat down and explained his side and his version of events surrounding that particular case. And does it stem from him not having work? I think that's a fair assumption. But obviously, to me, the interview went far beyond that because he's never had to answer any questions about that particular situation, and he finally did do that.
Any parameters?
0. I could ask whatever I wanted. And he knew going in that I could ask whatever I wanted. So, no, there was nothing like that at all, of course.
Did you ask him why this girl, his ex-girlfriend, did not testify the second time around?
Yeah, I did ask him that, and I have to go look at the transcript exactly, but I asked him what happened, why she didn't show up. And I don't think he had a specific explanation. I know people's suspicions are up. I think he went through the incident, Dan, and he spelled out in his mind, you heard the fact that he felt like he swore and was adamant and insistent that he never once placed a hand on this woman. And I said, well, how did she come up with some of the bruises and everything that she did in the pictures? And I'll just say this, that he, after the interview was over, we were talking more, and he's like, let me tell you something right now. I would swear on the life of my parents and my newborn son that I never touched this woman. And he was with a friend that night who apparently was restraining this woman from attacking him. Now, again, this is his version. People can believe what they want. He's never talked about it before. I asked him why that was. Like, why did you wait till now, Greg? And his contention was that he was always getting different opinions from different people. His lawyers would say, don't talk. His agents would say, do talk. His team would say, don't talk. And so there were a lot of voices, and he didn't know how to handle it, and he admittedly did not handle it the right way. And when he says, I haven't done everything right, when I asked him specifically about that incident with this woman at that particular time, what do you mean you didn't do all right, Greg? What does that mean? And what he meant by that was he feels like he should not have put himself in that situation around that woman at that time of night, around alcohol, and that was his mistake. He should never have done that. But in his mind, he swears he never put a finger on this woman, and people can believe what they want.
Do you believe it?
Doesn't matter what I believe, Dan, right?
Well, it does.
I mean,
with me having a conversation with you after the fact. You're still objective with this.
I'll say this to you. I went in there with the idea that everybody had, that this guy's a monster, okay? I went in there thinking this is one of the scariest people in the NFL. And I came out of there with a very different feeling about him. I came out of there with a feeling that this is a guy who has managed to say the wrong things at the wrong times, has not always made the right decisions. But I found him to be a change kind of guy, a guy that I think realizes he did make some mistakes, could have handled things differently. In regards to that incident, it's such a tough thing. I'd like to talk to more people before I made a judgment. All I can go by is what he said. I'll say this. he wasn't wavering. He was adamant. I never touched this woman.
But he mentions the Bible, but then, the truth will set you free. So if you really believe you're innocent, he shouldn't have taken this long. It feels like it's a desperate move to have somebody bring him in and hire him. Look, I get it. This is what agents do. They polish it up and put him in front of a camera. But look, you did your job. Was there a bed of guns there? Does he have a bed of guns that night?
When I asked him, I didn't ask him specifically if he had a bed. I didn't ask that question, Dan.
Okay.
And maybe I should have. Yeah, I didn't ask that question. But what I asked him about guns, like how do you make the comment this season on coming out guns blazing before your first game when you were accused of throwing this woman onto a bed of guns? Like, how do you say that? And he admits that he said the wrong things at the wrong time. Whether that's coming from his agent or him, I don't know. Okay, but I think there clearly seemed to be guns in that apartment that night on the basis of what transpired in the court testimony and in those records.
Yeah. Before I let you go, a week from now, Colin Kaepernick will be where?
I know people are saying the deal's dead. I just think it's everybody posturing right now, and I think that we have to see how this plays out all the way up to the draft, because I think Denver could decide to give him some more money. Maybe Colin Kaepernick surrenders more money. Maybe San Francisco kicks in. Right now, each side is entrenched in its stance. I'm not budging. And we'll see. And maybe that'll be the case for 3 weeks. Maybe. But maybe not.
Yeah, I think he still ends up there. Adam, great job. Thank you.
Me too.
What?
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, buddy. That's Adam Schefter, ESPN NFL Insider. The Greg Hardy interview airs on NFL Live today at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN2.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.